Rally ho! Welcome to Avalanche. Going to be doing a little open discussion for Final Fantasy VII tonight. You good, Zaman? Can you hear me?
Yeah, hello. How you doing? I'm Zaminator, second part of Avalanche. Welcome to the stream.
Sweet.
It's all about Final Fantasy 7, as you said.
So, bear with us. It's our first try, our first little attempt at the stream here. So, might be a few bumps along the way, but hopefully we'll get them in charge.
Yeah, we'll give it our
So,
best go.
Final Fantasy VII happened, and it's left us all
Yeah,
feeling a little...
confused and bewildered and scared, worried.
So it's been a
A
lot of
little
open
worried.
discussion. We don't want to tread too much ground. Going back to what's already been openly discussed everywhere. We've got Maximilian Dude and his level 4 theories, and then Final Fantasy Peasant with his level 10 God Cloud theory. My God.
Yeah, a simple hat moment.
But
I don't.
I kind of wanted to take things back to basics. Go back to level
Yeah,
1 a little. Have a look at,
it was
go
just.
through things a little bit with a finer comb and think, are people overthinking this just a little bit, perhaps? We go all the way back to level 1 and see. Just ask the question, is Sephiroth actually from the future? Is this Advent Children Sephiroth? Or is it just OG
Yeah,
Sephiroth? Is he doing the exact things that you would have expected him to be doing in the original? Perhaps with a little more subterfuge and a little less open storytelling in the original, but nonetheless, I feel that more or less every single scene that Sephiroth was in this game could be read with a double meaning. Could be read from either he is just there
I
in the
agree.
northern
Yeah,
crater waiting and doing his thing, or
he's definitely doing that too.
Sephiroth from the
He's
future
doing
come
that
back to
too.
fuck everything up.
Well, he's doing that too, and he's definitely come back. I think that is the Advent Children Sephiroth. Like just from all the pictures and everything we've seen, like the One Wing Angel, all the figures at the end of the game, like the what's it called, uh, symbology at the end of the game. I just think it's just like too like rife to say it's not. You know what I mean? And like even the trailer from 5 years ago, like comes from the point of view from like after like Advent Children. It's like it seems like that. Even the song as well at the end. There's a lot to point towards. This is just not the normal Final Fantasy VII. You know what I mean? This
Yeah,
definitely be
yeah.
something different.
Tabata
There's
did
like
say that the original artwork with Sephiroth in the background and the wing
was important.
was important. There was a lot more meaning to it than we had first thought, but
It did,
it
and
may be me. I may be in denial slightly,
mm,
perhaps,
mm.
but
As much as I want it to be, because I wanted the original remake. You know what I mean? I love the original,
mhm,
but the graphics
mhm.
suck. And the gameplay kind of sucks as well. As much as I love turn-based combat, that has been like done better now. Do you know what I mean? Like there's games out there that do turn-based combat a lot better. And then going back to an archaic system where it's just like material systems all good, but just like standard attacking and things like that is pretty boring. Do you know what I mean? I still love the old school Final Fantasies. Don't get me wrong, I play them every now and then, but I prefer action-based combat. That's more my thing. And
Absolutely, yeah, yeah.
I was hoping to get a remake of the original in that kind of combat, especially how good. I was worried the combat was going to be rubbish in this game, but it was so good. I was worried like it was going to be bad, but yeah, it's turned out so good and so rewarding to get good at when you like play it a bit while and then you like start realizing like differences in the combat and things you can do is rewarding, isn't it?
It was
So
leading up to the release of this game. I remember the combat system being one of your biggest fears, but it was
yeah,
one that I felt, especially after playing the demo, I was so hyped for it. The hybrid system in this remake is,
mm,
it may not
amazing.
be the what I would call the 10 out of 10 best combat
Mm,
system you've ever seen in a game, but
mm.
I truly think it is perfect for Final Fantasy.
It's still pretty simple. One thing I was worried about was have one combo the whole way game, and that is still pretty much the case. You do still have one combo the whole game, pretty much. Like, I hope they evolve that in the next games. You have like materials that can change that, a double cut and a
Yeah,
triple cut. It
yeah.
can change your whole like attack systems. You have different combos, combo launchers. Like I know Tifa had launchers and stuff, but it didn't work like a typical launch. You can juggle afterwards and things like that.
Well,
I like
recently, watching some Final Fantasy 15 with the aerial combat, or there's so much that they could expand on with the aerial combat
exactly, yeah.
moving
The Aerial
forward.
Combat 15 was really good. That quick step, and when you got like air dancing with Noctis, he was pretty good in the air. Like he could stay in the air like infinite, I think. Or Noctis, I'm pretty sure if you got the combo, but he could stay in the air infinitely. But
Yeah, the
15,
RNA fight. Oh, the
the
RNA fight.
combat 15, other than the bad guys being fodder, was like pretty well developed. Like how you could like change combos and like just the base combos. Do you know what I mean? How Noctis could like swap out with weapons, middle combo, like you're doing the dagger combo and suddenly pull out a big sword and you swap with a big old smash overhead. Like I quite like that. It was quite good. Like
Hmm.
if you have more combo variety like that, maybe Cloud could do different directions or do like input. Maybe do like a full circle and attack, and you do something different. Just, you know what I mean,
Yeah,
I just want like, a
yeah.
little bit more variety in the base attacks. Like other than the ATB attacks, they were cool, but let's give us some more variety in base attacks as well.
I suppose the payoff to that is the ability to control other characters. You get a
Yeah,
well,
of course, of
eventually
course.
once we get into Vincent, Yuffie, how they're going to
Yeah,
play. Or I assume Sid's going to be just as cool as a dragoon, going to be jumping all over
I
the place.
hope for them three. Yeah, the movement options. Hopefully on them three were a lot better because like we haven't seen many movement options with characters at the minute. So I think, especially with Vince and Yuffie, they're like always jumping around. They're like ninja and like vampire pretty much. I don't know what he is like a vampire. But yeah,
I,
they always move around,
I,
especially if he turns beast mode. Do you think they'll ever control him if he goes beast mode?
oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
I hope
Yeah,
so because
it'll be his limit break. It'll be a temporary transform.
it was in like berserk mode when like the original when you need to control him. So hopefully they don't do that, and hopefully yes, get control, but it's in berserk mode.
Yeah. So I've got a big, well, not a huge list of notes that we can go through.
Always
Uh,
cool. They're prepared for more.
However, based on every string of this theory of Sephiroth just being Sephiroth from OG,
I think
the
I think
big,
we should talk about. I think we should talk about the what's it called, live stream black and live stream white as well, because I think that's important to this whole
yeah,
thing.
I'll see if I can get those up in a little bit.
I'm now
Um,
having a look. I'm now googling it.
but the big the big thing I have scrawled across my notes is Zack's death, or
Yeah,
should I
that's
say,
definitely.
Zack's revival is the one spanner in the works that really doesn't hold up when you want to kind
I
of
don't know what's bigger than a
ignore
spanner. What's
the
the next
time
one up
travel
from a
theories.
spanner? There's that. The full on wrench. I don't know, like, is that better than a spanner? Whatever's better, bigger than a spanner is that. Hammer. The full on hammer in the work.
So my first note comes right at the beginning here.
Yeah,
The very first change, as soon as we jump into Final Fantasy VII Remake, is
in
Aerith
the beginning of that.
notices something at the beginning here.
Well, the first change is like the panel of the top of the sea.
True, true. Yes, that is an entirely added scene for sure.
Then they show the Mako and stuff like that. Do you think that's like from on top? That's on top of the thingy, obviously, isn't it? On top of the reactor,
Hmm.
on top of the plate. It still looks quite dirty. It still doesn't look very nice to live there.
Well, the
Like,
original was much like that as well. Looking
mm,
through the area straight outside of Loveless Avenue
mm.
was crashed cars and everything. I'm not totally sure whether or not that was supposed to be aftermath of
I
the
think that was
bombing.
construction. Yeah, I think that was that. I think that's what that was.
Um,
I don't think that was like you got to explore more on Crisis Core. It looked quite fancy in that.
but if we're
Like I don't think it was just
talking,
that one sector.
yeah, yeah, if we're
Do you know
talking
what I mean?
time travel Sephiroth,
Do you feel
this could
like
be the
they
moment
should
that
have?
he returns, as
Do you
no
feel
Eris
they should explore?
notices.
Go on.
Yeah, sorry.
Do you,
This is the moment that Aerith notices something. It could be the moment that Sephiroth returns from the future, back from the Advent Children after his battle with Cloud. But she
yeah.
notices something. There's significance in it.
Right, I've got the live stream black and live stream white. You ready for that? It's definitely like different. That wasn't the original, but I definitely said like thingy choice, like limitations, technical limitations.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are also scared about how this is going to be moving forward. It definitely seemed like they were going off on their own tangent and essentially saying to the fans, look, we're going to do whatever the hell we want to do.
It
But
could be that.
looking back on this,
Mm.
the entire
I
opening
don't think it
here
will.
is a merge, a mix of new and old. You get everything from the opening cutscene being
Do you know
changed
what,
and expanded
do you know
upon
what I
to
think?
Sephiroth noticing, Aerith noticing something here to
Do you know what I
Sephiroth
think it
showing up.
is? Do you know what I think it is? Like the whole concept of it. It's a sequel within the
The
timeline of the
compilation.
past. So the first one within the
Hmm.
first. It's like the first game. So I reckon things will play out as usual. We will go to Junior and we will go across the sea. But
This
it
is
is a
the
sequel in the
yeah.
sense it's like you got the extra Sephiroth mess around with us and like there'll be extra stuff added. Obviously the Zack stuff, I don't know where the hell that's gonna go. I hope they don't take precedent. Like we get like half of the Final Fantasy VII story, the original, and then like there's all kind of like alternate timeline nonsense taken over the rest of it, like controlling Zack 50% of the game. That would like annoy me a little bit. To be fair, I like Zack,
Yes,
but
yeah.
that's not what I want. Like if they make it into a spin-off game, maybe Crisis Core 2 or something, fair enough.
That's what I'm
But
hoping for. I'm hoping that the entire thing was
mm,
intentionally showing the different stamp Chris Packett being
hopefully, as a future anime, if they do
a
make Crisis
complete
Core 2,
spin-off. Like I don't even want. I don't want to see Zack
mm,
alive in this
mm,
timeline
in
because
this whole series, I don't want him like
yeah.
taking president, taking over. You know, I don't want him being like the main character
The thing
and
is,
not being like,
it's a backwards paradox where because the events that triggered Zack to return happened after Cloud did his shit in Midgar, Zack's
it could always
return
be a
doesn't
red herring
affect
and shit.
him. However, it does. Zack's mere survival completely changes Cloud's character, and that's
Mm.
the problem I have with it.
The thing is that in that timeline, it wouldn't be like Cloud. Like Cloud's character in this timeline would still be unaffected by that. So it's like
Hopefully.
he still went through that, and by the time he probably find out, he'd probably be back to himself.
I do have another theory on it though, but I'll cover that once we get to the end here.
Another like theory is just a huge red herring. Stone's fuck was.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like that's obviously the most hopeful and like loyalist kind of one, but fucking you never know. He could just be messing with us because 95% of that game is so faithful, even better than faithful. Do you know what I mean? They outdid themselves.
Yeah.
Like it's so good. And then like the end is bonkers, absolutely bonkers. Like a dump truck, like Maximilian says, huge dump truck with information on you at the end. And like when you first see it, it's so confusing. It don't really sit very well at first. It takes like you look into it from information and getting everyone else's opinion on it. And you start thinking maybe it does make more sense. And you have to play it again, and you start seeing all the things like you didn't see the first time because either you was just like, oh, this is cool. They had this thing because it's cool, or you just ignoring it because it was ghosts. And you're like, oh, this is annoying.
They played
And
the
then
clans perfectly like that. The game demands
mm,
a second playthrough.
definitely, 100%. Like if you haven't played it the second time, I recommend it highly. Like the hard mode playthrough is just brilliant anyway. Like adds so much more fun to the combat. Like adds the extra element of like you might die. I like that games.
So I
But
want to focus on Sephiroth for the most part, at least
yeah,
in the early parts of this discussion, just because
that's fun.
this is Sephiroth. He's if he is Advent Children Sephiroth, if he's Metaroth, as we've been calling
Metaroth.
him,
Yeah, I
then
agree.
he goes down as the greatest game villain of all time. He probably is anyway.
He's up there
But
with Kefka.
yeah, I'll maybe debate you on that once I get up to Final Fantasy VI during my playthroughs.
Yeah, Kefka's amazing. Like
Never
you
played
played the
six. I've never
you
played
played the
six.
city.
So.
You played the city. You know how much attention they give him.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He gets more screen time than Sephiroth. It's like he's crazy.
So the
He's
biggest
up there.
the
Sephiroth's up there
biggest
with him.
so-called change in Sephiroth's character here is that at least he is saying to Cloud that he wants to protect the planet.
He doesn't know one. Well, he wants to protect Cloud. He wants Cloud to run away.
Mm-hmm.
He wants Cloud to be safe, doesn't he? Because Cloud's like his Horcrux. He's the boy who lived. He stabbed him in the back and then like he lived. He's like Harry Potter pretty much. Instead of
Yeah,
getting a spell shot at him, he stabbed him in the back.
Again though, that is Advent Children Sephiroth.
Mm.
So if we're
I am
assume that like take that out of your mind completely and assume that this is
okay.
just
I'm pretty
your
sold on that
first
idea.
time seeing Sephiroth. What
Okay.
he
I just thought it
says
was cool.
and what
I
he
just thought it was cool.
does,
I'll be honest.
yeah,
I was
there's
just a bit
always
like blown away.
reason to it. However,
Yeah. You see it on the second playthrough. The first playthrough, I was too blown away by what it was, and like Sephiroth being there, I was a bit blown away. I was a bit like his voice actor was a bit weak in this part as well. No offense to the voice actor, but by the end of it, he got the hang of it majorly. He was much better.
So, again, as I can pick apart every single line that Sephiroth says and bring a double standard to it. You're dead.
Yeah.
I am. Yes, I killed you in Advent Children. I also killed you at the reactor 5 years ago.
Mm.
You need not remind me again. It's the battle at the end of Advent Children, if it is Advent Children Sephiroth, versus
Mm.
this is what happened to Sephiroth at the reactor 5 years ago in Nibelheim. Double standard works both
Yeah.
ways. Every single line that Sephiroth says is so well thought out. That was then, and this is now. Again, he could be talking about Nibelheim 5 years ago. He could be talking about Advent Children, different timeline.
Mm. Mm. I think he's talking about thingy, Nibelheim, because they'll burn him. They're on fire.
Yeah, that's what I assumed. It was much more
Mm.
relating to Nibelheim than it would be anything else.
Mm.
But again, every single line that he says is a double standard. He clearly is manipulating Cloud, and I think more on a lesser Horcrux level, and simply of a Genova brother.
This bit's interesting. I find this bit interesting. This point where he's looking up at this house. This is his mum's house,
Correct.
and like in the original, he's laying outside in front of the house in this position. Hit the actual him, not Zack. Him, like the body on the floor, the soldier. That's him laying in front of this house, like looking at it.
Yes, it is actually Zack who checks the house.
So he's giving him flashbacks to his actual memories right now. He's not seeing Zack's memories. This is his memory of this. I found that interesting. Just like that was in there. Do you know what I mean? That isn't Zack's memory of that. That's his memory of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Like this must have been after Zack ran off because think that was house was right. He ran in there and looked. So Zack must have ran off after Sephiroth at this point, and he's like looking at the house. Do you know what I mean? This must have been before he went up and killed Sephiroth.
Her flesh yielding to cold steel. Most people have assumed that that is Sephiroth confirming that he killed Aerith. Killed Cloud's mother by sword. But again, a double standard. It could also be referring to Aerith if he's Metaroth.
It could be referring to Cloud killing him.
It could be. It could be.
Because he got his face steel. He got the taste of steel that day as well. I just thought it was interesting that they show his mum's house from that perspective. So they could have shown it from Zack's perspective, but people thought you seen that.
Unless everything's been completely pulled from the wool, you know, the rug pulled from under our feet, it would appear that Genova / Sephiroth is wanting to protect the planet on the surface level at this point.
Do you think they're going to fast track that part of the story? Like the whole him finding out who he is?
I don't see how they can. I think it's going to be a big focus of the beginning of
I think they already have fast tracked it a little bit with like
Hojo
saying it early.
The majority came of Sephiroth's backstory, which hasn't been told yet in the remake, came from Cloud's story in Calm.
Cloud's which is the future now as well as the past. So he's seeing the future, is like flashes of that. Do you think? We'll get to it in a minute. It gets to that part. It's on the next chapter.
Yeah. Again, the flash forwards to the future is another point, if you like, in the Metaroth theory of.
I don't think it's Metaroth giving the future flash future things. I think it's the Whispers giving the future visions. I think it's one Whisper in particular.
Yes.
I think
I'll pull that up when we get to the ending because you're 100% right there. I think it is the Whispers that are giving visions of the future. This is why I'll skip to it. I believe that the entire Sephiroth fight at the end was the Whispers, or the Whispers' last actions. One, of giving the party a vision of what was going to happen of the future, and two, perhaps in one last act, for whatever reason, fate dictates that Zack lives, and that was their last act before they all vanished and died.
I don't know what to say about that, man.
So we obviously do know the standard, the easy answer to Sephiroth was, if he is Metaroth, attempting to delay Cloud at the beginning of the game, by
This is
appearing to him
definitely
to
better off.
stop him from ever
This,
meeting Aerith. The Whispers
this is
then intervene for the first time by holding her in place while they meet.
this isn't the same Sephiroth as the last one. I don't think. This one's different.
You think so?
He acts differently, or if like even different, he's just like they're both the Metaroth, but I don't know if there's two different Metaroths. Do you know what I mean? Because Metaroth was already in the original. Like, there's already a Metaroth. He was already in Cloud's head and stuff.
I still want to take this back to level 1. I want to take it back to if Sephiroth is acting
Yeah.
differently here, perhaps, but it's perhaps just a little bit of frustration of, hey,
Mm.
my first plan here of stopping you from ever meeting didn't work.
Mm.
But then that still leads to the theory of time travel. And then essentially just getting a little bit pissed off for the fact that they did meet because fate intervened, holding Aerith in place.
I think rather than time travel, it's more sending your conscious back and past like Zane and stuff.
Yeah, if not time travel, then just a perhaps more realistic
Yeah,
look
like
on the game.
in
If these
yeah,
characters were put into this situation, they would
it's
act
more fleshed out one.
differently.
It's more
So,
fleshed out one rather than realistic because it's never
yeah.
realistic in the first place. But I just think I don't know. Do you know how she, like in the original, everyone says she had her mother in the live stream and like
Yes,
she
yeah.
talked to her mother and stuff like that? Do you think that's really always been her consciousness even back then? Like she always thought it was her mother trying to talk to her, because her mother must be able to do that shit and stuff as well. Like she might have stayed in the live stream for a while. Do you know what I mean? I imagine she did to try to keep an eye on her daughter. She wanted to like dissipate straight away.
Yeah.
But it's interesting now. They could write it the other way now. Like originally, I think it was her mother, but like now they could rewrite it to be that was her consciousness all along. Do you know what I mean? Like in the live
Perhaps.
stream. Because
There's
it's definitely about that. Like that same the live stream black and live stream white, they were written by the guy who writes the script for this. Do you know what I mean? So I think they were deeply and they were written before Advent Children comes out. And after reading them, Advent Children actually like kind of makes sense. Obviously, still doing great, but like some of the nonsensy spells kind of make sense now. Like it was like a
so
revelation.
perhaps.
Mm.
My assumption of this scene is taking it back to level 1 again.
Yeah, I'll keep
This
jumping
this
on
is
that.
Sephiroth's. If the writers are going in with Sephiroth simply being what he is in the more recent incarnations of him, Advent Children, etc., with the wing, the powers, the aesthetic, you can't really go back to Sephiroth just being what he was in the original. Not after
He's
he's
like
evolved so
he's
much over time.
yeah, he's like evolving, isn't he? He's like the opposite of like Angel and Genesis, where they were degrading. He's just evolving. He's like
His
evolving.
consciousness has survived in the live stream and tethered to Cloud, essentially. Partly, I believe, because of what happened 5 years ago, but most obviously because of the Genova cells. So every time Cloud
No,
comes into contact with one of the clones, as he does here with Marco,
I don't
this
know
is
Genova. I don't
Sephiroth's
know.
first attempt, I believe, at taking over the clone's consciousness, and the clone being sick and weak, he doesn't have much control at this point.
I don't
He's only
know. It's just,
starting to learn how to do it, you know what I mean?
hmm. I'm not 100% sure that Genova has live stream powers, that she can do stuff with the live stream. Like she has any will within the live stream, like Sephiroth does. I think hers is all like physical. Like you have to have a part of her inside of you, and that's only then like she'll be drawn to like her physical body. Which even though
Hmm.
Anne got a head, it's still like it's not part of the live stream, is she? Even though she ain't got no head, she isn't like actually in the live stream. Like Aerith sends her in the live stream. She only sends Sephiroth in the live stream.
Yeah, no, I
I
mean,
I
it makes sense.
I think Sephiroth has ancient genes. I think he
He does.
has
He does, 100%.
because
So
Angeal and Genesis had the same experiment done on them, but they
they
degraded and
degraded.
become useless.
But then
Where Sephiroth has
essentially
evolved.
Sephiroth's body died anyway. He was in the same position as Genova, where their consciousness existed within the live stream. His
But he's
body
kind
could
of
have
done
well
both.
degraded, but it
I
was
think he's kind of done both because he's like a crystal in the northern crater.
yeah,
His real body is actually like regenerating and still alive.
yeah.
But it's just like
Lower half of his
it's
body gone. Yeah,
yeah, like his consciousness is kind of in the planet, and I think he's like Cloud with live stream.
surviving in
He's
the
in the
live
live
stream.
stream.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So within the live stream, he's reaching out to the clones, the other form. There, I can't remember if I told you the
I
other
think
day. As
that's
I
the
was
Genova flow. I think that's the Genova thing. They're going to his physical body. I don't think it's through the live stream.
no,
I think they're
I
doing
think it is. I think it is
that's the reunion
because
theory. I don't think the reunion theory uses the live stream. I don't
the,
think it's like reliant upon it.
No, it's just
That's my theory.
Sephiroth and Genova's consciousness, I believe, at this point,
Yeah.
are both in the live stream. Cloud whipped Sephiroth in half. He fell in the reactor, ended up in the northern
Okay.
crater in a crystal.
Mm.
Before that, he also whipped off Genova's head and took it with him.
Yeah.
At that point, I think from those 5 years ago, both of them were at odds, existing in the
Don't
live
you think?
stream, refusing to defuse and
Mm.
become part of it. Um,
I don't think Genova could become part of it because she's not actually from the
no,
planet.
yeah,
Right?
that's what caused the geostigma, right? Is all part
No,
of the Genova
that's not.
cells.
That's not what caused the geostigma.
No?
That's wrong. No, that's wrong. That's what the live stream, black live stream won't clear up.
Ah.
Sephiroth caused the geostigma. It had nothing to do with Genova.
Oh yeah,
Sephiroth.
as he washed over the planet, I remember.
Yeah,
I remember
Sephiroth
that.
responsible for that. It's nothing to do with Genova. Genova has no live stream powers. Like it seems, anyway. Like as far as I know, she has powers
Perhaps,
over being
yeah.
dead.
Perhaps at that point that she was limited to not being able to do much of anything, and if she's required on her physical
I
body,
think the ancients were fighting her back in the days, and they're
yeah,
still in the live stream
it
fighting her
makes
now.
sense.
Like
It makes sense. So,
I just how I
assuming
feel
that
about it.
Sephiroth anyway is in the live
Hmm.
stream,
I think
reaching
that's
out
level
from
5
beyond
again
it,
now.
I
I think that's
think
level 5 again.
he. No, I think this is original. As Sephiroth was appearing, we just never saw the perspective of what Cloud was
Mm,
seeing in his head, but with the
mm,
clones,
yeah,
there is a specific child in the kids' hideout in Sector 6.
right.
As you walk
Uh,
past them,
right.
just after the second clone walks through, he says, "My dad said that that guy used to be a soldier."
Right.
So,
Did he? Oh,
yeah,
I missed
the
that.
same is true with all of these
Okay,
guys.
I missed that.
They're all former soldiers with
Okay, makes
Genesis
sense.
and Angeal's genes degrading.
Yeah, yeah,
I think
makes
that's also
sense.
why they've shown us Roach, who's at the height of his power at the moment. He's
Mm,
high on the power he's got, but he'll end up like one of these clones by the end of the game, I think.
I think so as well. I think so as well. That seems likely.
So Sephiroth is reaching out from the live stream using Cloud as his anchor.
Mm,
He pulls into number 49, Marco, here for the first time. And I think this is the first time he ever does it. This is
mm.
why Marco's so weak. Cloud's able to just push him off, nearly whips his head off if it weren't for Tifa, you know.
Sephiroth does
Um,
fall over like a fool, doesn't he? Like,
uh-huh.
I know it's Marco
First
doing it,
attempt.
but it's like Sephiroth's body at the time falling over like a fool. It's quite funny to see Sephiroth fall over, to
Yeah.
be fair. It's
So,
not often occurrence.
for anyone who did miss the obvious, number 49 Marco here, this is the actual guy who kills President Shinra. This is him.
Mm, yeah, yeah. Be interesting if they had number 1, because he's like the one they're chasing originally, like the man with the black cape that was chasing across like the river and stuff was number 1.
Was that him, was it?
Yeah, as you get to like Coral and you're going over the mountains, you talk to some old guy and he's like, "Oh, you talk to me now." It's like there's people with like tattoos, young people with tattoos, like walking past and like they want to talk to me. He had number 1 on him.
We may get to that in
So,
the future, then. In the future
mm,
part.
do you think all the people in Nibelheim, all them numbered people, the original Nibelheim people, the one that were like alive after Sephiroth finished off most of the town? Because like Tifa
Ah.
House is full of them on the way back. I know we're going too far now, probably like next few
Yeah,
games.
that's really hard. I don't know if they were just simply supposed to be just all Shinra employees. But
I can't wait. I
somewhere
hope they expand on it all. I hope they're
somewhere in
like,
the real world did that. The entire town was wiped off the map and destroyed, and then
mm,
the government moved in and rebuilt it and
covered it up.
covered it up. Pretended they had
Mm,
actors in there pretending to be shopkeepers and shit.
It's pretty crazy, really. When I think about it.
I think there's a lot of Korean elements in Final Fantasy VII. To be honest, a hell of a lot of Korean
mm.
elements, especially with
There's
Shinra.
a lot of capitalist like and stuff like that, and there's definitely pointing towards like capitalist greed and like oil, like thingy problems and that, like real
So
life problems.
let's take a look at this scene.
Instead
Now,
of the
this
children,
happened in the original. We had exactly the same lines in the original.
instead of the children. I know, just but
But is it Zack he's
you know
talking to?
it is, but in the original, I think it's himself actually.
Mm,
It's
mm.
younger Cloud, isn't
It's,
it? It's not
who he's
himself.
seeing himself as, yeah. But Zack
I
was
never.
communicating with him the same way through the wolf in Advent Children, wasn't he?
I'll be
Same
totally
characters.
honest. It is himself, but I'll be totally honest. I never knew who that was in the original because I had never
No,
visualization to it.
it was obviously left ambiguous on
Mm,
purpose.
it was. But I think it is Cloud. He's talking to himself. It's like his real self.
The difference here is that Sephiroth does not appear in this scene in the original.
Yeah. But say it's definitely like he's interfering more than he did before in the first one. He's like definitely like every time he gets a chance, he's interfering. The other way around, don't know. He loves Cloud. Follows him around everywhere.
Brother, as I said, this if you take every brother reference, every family aspect of the trio, the Advent Children, it's all part of it. Sephiroth sees Cloud as his brother. Jenova sells. I think it's that simple.
Do you think he does?
Mm-hmm. He needs him to essentially get him the black materia, restore him to life, etc., etc. We haven't seen all of these parts yet.
He sees him more as a tool. I think. A brother. I don't think he's just to kill him every time he come back.
Cloud breaks Sephiroth's control over him eventually, but not until after he's almost killed Aerith himself and given up the black materia to Sephiroth.
Yeah. I don't know how they're going to handle that scene where he's big it on Aerith.
So we will have a lot of Sephiroth's interference in part 2, I believe, where they'll be showing scenes, they'll be hinting at Aerith's death, giving the fans the hope for sure that she will survive. But even if they were to change the location, the scene, do what they did with Wedge, it just
can't change the location.
It would not have the same impact at all if it didn't happen exactly the way it happened.
I don't think it happened exactly the way. It might change it a little bit, but yeah.
I don't mind extra. I don't mind anything extra. I don't mind if there's a fight there. I don't mind if Cloud almost saves her. But
what if Cloud does it?
If Cloud does it under Sephiroth's control, if Cloud does it under Sephiroth's control, I would be okay with that. I would be okay with that.
I always had a theory maybe Cloud did it, and you just imagine Sephiroth jump around and do it. It's like just cover up his pain of him doing it, like kind of like you blank things out of your memory and try to cover up with false images. He's beating on her just like moments before that.
Yeah.
Like when you play in the game, it's just like half an hour before that.
I remember. This is as I said, this was when Sephiroth was actually controlling Cloud.
Yeah.
Where his powers were growing and he was reaching out and controlling more clones.
You had your sword up above her head. You was literally about to swing down and kill her.
So as we said, we've also had word that there's a confirmation that there was 2 Sephiroths in the remake. But I still believe that when the directors were talking about that, they were talking about the 2 clones, of which Sephiroth takes control. And I believe, as we said, there is a struggle between Jenova and Sephiroth as we get into proximity with her body, where Jenova temporarily takes over, and that's where we fight her.
I think she's going to take over. She's definitely like a strong presence still. Do you know what I mean? Sephiroth's definitely stronger. Like at this point, before he died, before he was like in the live stream, I think he was weaker, but he's like got stronger through the live stream with the knowledge of the ancients and stuff like that. That's how he came back with like to fight Jenova and like put his plan into action. Do you know what I mean?
Speaking of the ancients, let's take a look at this scene.
Check out Lucrezia the Crystal. And then check out the bit when they show. Yeah, this is the bit I want to see anyway. You know the bit when they're sucking in thing from the ancients, they're sucking in like thing you're making Mako.
Yeah.
And making materia out of the Mako. Pause it on that bit. Okay. In particular, I want to point out.
I think I'm under the assumption as well that, or most people are, that because Jenova was hooked up to the machines in Hojo's lab through the live stream, she was able to affect VR here. But yeah, I was then about to say, if what we were talking about Jenova not being able to do that through the live stream, then again, it was likely Sephiroth who did it.
I don't think she can send visions like he can.
But my god, does this shot here not look like Cornelia to you from Dissidia? It looks exactly like the Final Fantasy 1 map from Dissidia.
No, it don't.
No,
No,
maybe
there's a
my
big old
memory's
lake.
off.
There's a big old lake, and then like the castle's like a little like the lake.
This would be the castle, yeah.
Yeah, but around that there'd
Well,
be a massive lake.
oh, this is the
Temple of the Ancients.
Temple of
The
the
Forgotten,
Ancients, right? Yeah, the Forgotten
no,
City.
Forgotten Village. Forgotten
Yeah,
City. Yeah, that's what it is.
yeah.
Yeah, man.
So
Uh-huh.
we have an airship up here. That looks again very Final Fantasy one-ish,
I have an airship. I
early
didn't see that.
days. Yeah,
I
we
never
have an
noticed the
airship up
airship.
here.
Wow, I didn't notice that. Okay, so it was that advanced. At least they had airships.
Yeah, they
Didn't
had
know that.
airships for sure. Their clothes are very Final Fantasy X-like, but yeah,
That,
again,
that
it could be
that's new to me.
the chocobos are the chocobos again are very Final Fantasy X-like. They
They're
are,
really tight on my screen.
this
Maybe
is a pre-rendered cutscene. However, the one big difference that I've noticed between the designs of the chocobos in Remake versus 10 is only the color. They look almost identical in design, other than the Remake chocobos seem a hell of a lot more colorful.
Hmm. Chocobos
This looks
seem to be
just like
pretty
a
like
10 chocobo to me, but 10
Chocobos are
garb.
pretty like they're pretty standard, aren't they? They don't really like vary it much. Like 15 ones look like 10 ones as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I don't know. I don't know about that. Take that as like a thingy, like a theory. I think it's the other way around with 10 and 7, right? Like they came to the planet after. I don't know.
I was gonna.
7's
I mean,
not after.
we could do an entire theory video about a much deeper link between 15, 7, and 10, with it
Just
starting with 15
15
on
connected.
Gaia, how it all happened, Meteor, Star Scourge, Arden,
All
leading
right.
into 10 on a different planet, Spira,
I
then
don't think 15's connected to 10. I
leading
don't think
back to
15's
Gaia.
connected.
Well,
I don't think
I have some theories, but we can do that another
Okay,
day.
you have to fill me in on them ones. I haven't had them ones.
Just try to get a better look here at this. This is
It's definitely Forgotten City.
the
That's the
Forgotten
place where
City.
Aerith
Yeah,
died.
this the pond here is where Aerith died, where
Mm,
Kadaj did his freaky shit
that is
in Advent
petrified
Children.
back then as well. You know, most of them
Yeah,
petrified. So it kind of been like a new thing. Look, this bit, these crystals. Pause it. Thing. Go back a little bit. Crap, what have I done that for? I'm thinking. Like, only. Uh, yeah. You went back too far.
yeah, it's hard to navigate on this
That's annoying when you do
long
that. No,
video.
we like try to go back a little bit. You're not going back like ages.
One thing I do want to say though is that I think the pre-rendered cutscenes were entirely unnecessary in this game, especially at the end.
Nah, I like them. I like pre-rendered cutscene too.
Cloud's face just threw me off a little
His
right at the end.
eyes are a little bit dug in. His eyes are a little bit too like in his face. He's got like a weird thing underneath these bits. These crystals for them. Do these
Mhm.
crystals here remind you of the thing Lucrezia is like frozen in, and like in the crystal cave she's in? Do you think this is the same cave?
Let me have a quick look. See if I can find Lucrezia.
Mm. How is Lucrezia in a crystal like living off the earth? How does a normal human beings go about doing that?
You could possibly link that back to what you sent me the other day about the when you were in the Temple of the Ancient, saying there was a consciousness. I did think perhaps that was Lucrezia.
Hmm. I don't think she was the consciousness. There's Sephiroth in it, an Aerith. Or Sephiroth and like another ancient. There's definitely an ancient in there. Like, I don't know if it's what's her face. Mum.
I think
Aerith's
it
mum in
could
the
be
original.
Lucrezia because she did say alive, didn't she?
She's alive and she's young still. She hasn't even aged. Like, I know
Hmm.
it's PlayStation 1 graphics, but she looked the same character on the PlayStation 1. They look different.
Yeah.
But she looks the same in the thing as well, Vincent. And the thingy, Crisis Core, she looks young. In the crystal, doesn't she?
Just trying to
That
find
bit. Look at that
a.
crystal there. Look at them points coming out of it. Same colour. Same kind of like pointy around the edges. Look, where's the PS1 version? Where's more of the PS1 version? PS1 version was like green, blue colour. Similar colour.
Having difficulties getting this on stream.
Yeah, boy.
No, it doesn't want. It doesn't want to know. Yeah, very similar though. Very similar.
I think, let's say, in the PlayStation 1 version, look, she's young still, do you know what I mean? How is she still young? Like, she
Yeah,
hasn't aged.
she's frozen in time like Sephiroth was, essentially, isn't she?
Sephiroth's like, look, the edges of oh, they look so similar. I still feel there's like something going on with Lucrezia.
Yeah, definitely.
She
If
does
she
this as well. In the
she had
thingy, in
ancient
Dojo
blood herself.
Cerberus, she does this in Dojo Cerberus and like makes a material out of that.
Hmm.
Like she sucks like maca and makes a material out of it. So
If
I was,
Lucrezia was an ancient, it would make sense as to
hmm,
why Sephiroth would have ancient blood.
I think that's why Hojo took an interest in her. Why he'd even want to get married to her. I don't think he has any interest in women other than science.
No, yeah,
I think it like, and he wants to rub it into thingy as well, Vincent. That's why he like shot Vincent because he wants to
so
like use his baby.
he definitely has
I
some
think.
perverse altogether
Mm,
or attraction to scientific. Well,
he never has any normal
is it,
relationships. You know what I mean?
one
Like
of
he
the
wouldn't
one of
have any.
my favorite scenes in this remake is how extreme they made Hojo, saying
Yeah,
that.
Hojo from
I mean, we saw Aerith's mum's body in the
mm.
original, but then for Hojo to go to the extent to say that they took her body and dissected it, and
You
he
saw her body
enjoyed
in the
that.
top?
Yeah, in the original they did show the scene where she died at the train station, and
Oh yeah. All right. I thought you meant like in the lab.
no, where she died at the train station. But then in the
Okay, yeah,
remake,
I remember that.
he expands on that, saying they took her body from there and dissected it.
Yeah, we think she's like thinking they're probably trying to make her like another Genova. They're probably trying to like put it into people. That's another thing to think. Like maybe he was maybe Roach has cells of Genova and cells of what's her name?
Genesis.
Ephania? Ephania? What's
Yeah,
Eric's mum's name?
that's yeah, Ilfalna, something like that.
Yeah, it's hard to pronounce. Like, yeah, maybe he's got cells of both of them. Maybe they'll like, go into like a different new type of like soldier. They're using like ancient cells as well as thinking cells, and they realise that's what Sephiroth was special. Because they even say like Sephiroth was special is different from the rest. Like, and he is, isn't he? Like all the other soldiers fall to pieces.
Yeah. So
I think
expanding
it's
a
like
little on what I was talking about earlier on
against level
Final
5 again,
Fantasy Peasants
level
level
10.
10 theory, he
Right.
linked it a lot with the Promised Land
Okay.
being Neo Midgar, and somehow the game ending up there with us.
Mm.
Changing fate, changing history, changing time, where Midgar's a lovely 2020, yeah, whatever you call it.
I can't picture this in my head. Like this level 10 theory is like well above me. I'll be honest, well above my pay grade. I need to watch it in proper. I haven't watched the whole Pez video on it, but you've informed me little parts of it, and it seems pretty out there.
It
Like,
does get a little
what?
crazy.
Why would Cloud do that? That's my first question.
I
That's probably the
the,
last question as
I
well.
think the big thing that he was linking this on is Tabata confirmed that
Hmm.
Final Fantasy VII's world, 500 years in the future, is a world devoid of humans, and that
Yeah,
people believe, or Maximilian Dude in his
it's hard
podcast
to.
believed that the end of the world event was Meteorfall, that it didn't kill all life on the planet instantly, but
Hmm.
for whether it be Geostigma or whatever came after, 500 years after the meteor fell, humans were
It's not
gone.
Geo Stigma either. That's the confusion. That's like. Did you read the whole black and white thing? Like,
I was then going to refer to that. Was it
yeah,
in one of them? They did say that at the end of Advent Children, that didn't wipe out Geostigma. It was still out there.
they said as well. The thing they're like the planet's madder than we think. Like
Yeah.
they think it's the planet
Oh
with
yeah.
geostigma.
The planet
And
wants humans dead
when
at
people
that point.
die, well, the planet don't want people dead. That's what Aerith is talking to the planet, and the planet don't want people dead. It's Sephiroth tricking people to think the planet wants them dead, and then
Hmm. I'm
that's
not
what it
so
says in
sure
the black
about
and
that.
white.
Does
That's what
it?
it says in the black and white.
Is it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've got it up. Let me read it.
Yeah, go for it.
Uh, right, right. Live stream black one. A man could sense the live stream, trying to erode his spirit, the memories of his former experiences, thoughts and emotions. If he allowed himself to be taken into the current, the being he once was would soon dissemble and disappear amongst the spirit energy circling around the planet. The man thought it was unacceptable. The planet was to be his rule, and and to become part of the system would be nothing short of defeat. The man sensed a large flux in the low stream, a sign of another, a different defeat. When the low stream erupted onto the surface of the planet, the man thought that Cloud was no doubt was no doubt certain of his victory. Cloud was the one who had sent twice the man to the low stream. The man knew that if he could hold onto some core of his spirit, then one could remain a separate entity, independent from the planet system. Cloud, the man defeated to make Cloud that core. Well, the man decided to make Cloud that core, and he wanted to let Cloud know of all that. I'm still thinking of you, and I'll show you the proof of that as well. Right, that's the first part of Low Stream Black 1. That's obviously like going into what he thinks of Cloud and how he keeps coming back to life. I mean, he's been sent to the live stream twice by him already. Once when he got killed by him originally.
Yeah.
Once when he got killed by him at the end of Final Fantasy 7. So he's been sent to the live stream twice by him already, and now he's his Horcrux. That's like the whole part of him being his Horcrux. Do you know what I mean? Like that's his whore. He's made Cloud his core, his spirit. But as long as he remembers Cloud, he can keep coming back to Cloud again. Right, and then there's Live Stream White 1. This might be long actually. There's like a lot of it.
Just go through first ones for now.
Yeah, alright, it's Live Stream White 1. Right, the woman was an ancient, which explained how she was able to maintain her individuality, even within the live stream. If she so wished, she could have become part of the planet any time. But the woman thought it was too early for her to do that just yet. The woman had sensed a different presence within the live stream, cycling around the planet. It was a Venetla. What the hell? I spelled that wrong. It was. I can't remember what it says. Well, Vehemenes? I think they've spelled that really wrong. I think it's meant to say a vengeance. Can't even say the word now, Christ. Is it when you like vengeance? When you want vengeance? Vengeance? Well, a strong will, yeah? Oh, yeah. Well, it was a thing of a strong will. I don't know what that word means. There's a compound, I don't know what it means. One that would ever join with the planet. She knew this consciousness. It was the man who had taken her life, a merciless spirit hidden behind a bestious wall. That spirit was now operating from within the live stream. The woman sensed that he was planning to extend his influence onto the surface of the planet. She wondered what she could do. Because it was dangerous for her to come in contact with him, the woman tried to keep away from the man's consciousness. Because of this, she couldn't learn much of the man's plot. However, just once, when the man's spirit had suddenly appeared near her, she discovered that he had made his memories of Cloud the core of his being. Cloud was her friend, her beloved, a symbol of what was important to her, and something one that had to be protected. That's live stream part 1, air version. There's a lot more to it.
Yeah.
The next part of the Black One goes into how live stream erupted onto the surface of the planet, and that's how Sephiroth spread to the thing. You should read into it. Yeah. Just have a read into the whole thing. It's long for you to read out the whole thing.
Yeah, maybe we should go through them in a separate stream. Like, just go through the whole lot of them.
I've got to Google that word. Crazy word.
So we're at 50 minutes. Why don't we round this out a little? Try and make it about an hour long.
Okay. How do you say it?
Jump to the juice here. This is the big moment where Cloud holds his arm like he has the Geostigma from Advent Children. But it could also, again, double meaning, simply be the extension that Sephiroth is now starting to take control of him. Don't deny me. I'm controlling you, Cloud. Eventually, you're going to do exactly what I want you to do. At the moment, though, he can't.
He seems pretty able. You jump like a crazy person. Or you can jump like that in the game.
A touching reunion, the reunion of Jenova's cells, pulled by Jenova's body to the Shinra Tower. As Sephiroth and Jenova now have this battle of wills for eventually Sephiroth to then pull all of the clones up to the northern crater.
I think he's using them, Jenova and the clones, to get them to pull them to him, and then the boys first use their they go to the live stream after, so I imagine, or something. They run away down with their body. They're using that body to get all clones to come to him.
Yeah,
he's using the Jenova body.
I think this is essentially all that Hojo's hypothesis was: the Jenova reunion, as they reforge at Shinra Tower, but then later on we will see that he laughs as
Mm,
he's correct in his theory, but now the clones are being pulled to the northern crater instead.
mm. Oh, not yet, but they will be. He's pretty stupid, so I'm gonna go get a gun. That's like
I
pretty
like
obvious what
Barrett's
he's doing.
motivations were much better updated here, though. He had a plan. He wanted to clear Avalanche's name, as he
Mm.
should.
I don't know. You just want to kill him. Better character who would live.
What good would that do, though? As Shinra said, he would rebuild.
He'd be gone. Like, I don't know. Could be something. If I was
That's,
Barrett,
it's,
trying to
that's
build.
the entire point of Final Fantasy. Hope.
Mm. Well, I don't know. Dealing with loss.
That was one of the core, but I'm hoping that's one thing that they're not moving away from. I felt
Mm.
so much more of Luna's death in Final Fantasy 15 than I did of any other
Yeah, that was
than
pretty hard to take.
Jesse's death. I
Yeah,
mean, actually,
it
at the
was
end of
written
the
well.
game, there was Jesse the only one to actually die. I think Wedge went
Maybe.
out the window at the end, but
Yeah, maybe. It's still a maybe. It's still gonna be like, is she died, is she not? The whole club thing. Like, I think she is, but we don't know. But like, why'd they say Big's for? I don't get why they're saving people. I think they're probably maybe doing that to like leave red herrings. Think, oh, they're saving this person, saving that person. Maybe they save Eric, and then like,
yeah.
bam, they don't save Eric. Do you know what I mean? Let's give us a little bit of hope. Take it away. Like Sephiroth says, let me give you despair. Like, that's what he said so like, don't need to have children.
Hmm.
Let me, what do you like, cherish most? Let me take it away. He's playing some kind of metaphysical game with us. Like, what's his name? Nomura thinks he's Sephiroth. I'm just wondering if he thinks he's that or not. I wish they had blood.
Terrible.
There's one major beef with this, but like, I wish they had some blood.
Yeah, as I said, that would have tipped the age rating just over,
They should have done it.
unfortunately.
Should have done it.